Happy late afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is your boy Lewis, and I am yet back again with another banger with yet another video. And once again, like I always do, man. Before I start with this video, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that notification bell to get the latest and best content available possible from your boy. And I want to just say to everybody, I hope everybody's having a wonderful Sunday. It is brick cold outside where I'm at. I am here in New York. And all I wanted to say is that thank you for taking the time to watching this video. And I hope that everybody is having a wonderful and blessed day, whatever it is that you're doing. So, on to today's video. Today's video, I'm going to actually go a little bit off of what I usually would be talking about. Is usually for a lot of things that I'm doing, I've been kind of comparing players a little bit and stuff like that. Stay tuned in my future for my next two videos. I am going to do a video on why Kobe has been arguably one of the more underrated and disrespected players in NBA history. So stay tuned for that. And I'm going to have a little back and forth with Mr. Steph Curry. Is he overrated or underrated? I will be talking about his postseason career, where people say that he doesn't show up, or with in terms of the NBA Finals. And I'm gonna look at the totality of Steph Curry's career. So is he overrated or underrated? So stay tuned for that. But today's video is gonna be about the Boston Celtics. So as you know, last year the Boston Celtics had got Kyrie Irving, and they were able to get Gordon Hayward in the offseason. And people were very excited, in particular Boston fans, about the potential of what the Celtics can be with these two players, along with the depth that they had. And when Kyrie got traded there for an injured Isaiah Thomas, who had a hip injury, and they got also rid of Jay Crowder, who went to to the Cavaliers. I'm sorry, and Gordon Hayward had just came from Utah, and there was a lot of excitement and expectations. Very first game of the regular season, Gordon Hayward was going for alley-oop. He was met by LeBron, and Jay Crowder ended up dislocating his ankle and ended up missing the entire season. After that injury, expectations were that Boston was not really going to go far. He said they might have a good regular season, but they're not going to make it to the finals. So what happens? The Celtics actually get off to a crazy good start. They win 16 of their first 19 games. They start at 16-3. And people were saying, maybe this might be the opportunity that they might actually make the finals. So there was a lot of back and forth by the mainstream media thinking that Boston was either going to just miss it or go to the NBA finals. While people were saying, oh, it's not going to happen on LeBron's watch. And it was at the same time that people were going back and forth on the Cavaliers when the Cavaliers were actually got off to a slow start. But a lot of it, there was just a lot going on with Cleveland. There was a lot of hidden stuff that nobody wanted to talk about. There was a lot of locker room issues. And the poor leadership that was displayed in that locker room. But I'm not even going to mention his name, so I'm just going to continue with the Celtics. Anywho, Boston is playing really well. They have the best record in the Eastern Conference. Everything's going great. Kyrie is having his most efficient season of his career. People are talking all this nonsense about how LeBron made Kyrie better. No, he didn't. He just gave him an opportunity to make more shots. But Kyrie was really forced into a role. At least when he got traded to Boston, he had a defined role, and he knew what his role was going to be. And he was the superstar and the alpha on the team. Kyrie was playing extremely well. He got off to a little bit of a slow start, but it was taking him some time to get adjusted, because you have to understand, Kyrie was playing in the LeBron system. Now, I know Kyrie haters and LeBron lovers and the LeBron stans are going to be like, well, Kyrie was nothing without LeBron. He didn't make the postseason without LeBron. Like, Kyrie owes that man, like, his life, and the fact that LeBron got him a championship. So that's what they're going to say. I'm not going to get into the details of that, because I've already mentioned it in many other videos about Kyrie's impact on that 2016 Cavalier championship team, that LeBron gets all the credit, yet Kyrie hit the biggest shot. I'm going to keep repeating it for those LeBron fans that don't like me saying it, that they want to just go from LeBron's chase down block to LeBron's free throw when they don't give credit to J.R. Smith for slowing down Iguodala to change the shot. But Kyrie Irving hit the biggest shot in franchise history, Cleveland Cavalier history, because they've been on the wrong end of history, especially with Jordan hitting game winners on them in the playoffs. So they've been on the wrong end of that. Or Jordan having high scoring averages in the playoffs against the Cavaliers. So, and the fact that Kyrie hit the biggest shot in that franchise history, but LeBron gets all the credit, is one of the reasons why Kyrie wanted out. And people tend to forget also that Kyrie was drafted into a very bad situation. Like, their roster was not even good enough to compete. Also, why is it that people to forget that when LeBron first came back to Cleveland with Kyrie, they started 18 and 19. It's like people just erase and wash all this stuff off the board. But it's like, it's a lot of stuff that people just want to ignore. But like I said, I've brought it up in many of my videos, and it's like, in case if, again, like if you want to get the full backstory on, I have it on exposing LeBron myths. I have it on, LeBron's, 73-9, claiming that he beat the greatest team ever and stuff like that. So like previous videos, if you want to take a look at them, I mentioned all of this. But anyway, back to Boston. So Kyrie's having the most efficient season of his career. He actually dipped just slightly, not much, like in points. He was at around 24.5 when he was starting to like play well. He was shooting 49%, which was a career high. Also, he averaged, I believe, about 5 rebounds, close to 5 rebounds, and he was averaging actually close to 6 assists. So he was having a pretty efficient season. But then he unfortunately had a knee injury, where he had the screws that were put in his knee were possible to be cause for him to get an infection. And he was having a lot of pain, dealing with the knee pain. And so they decided to shut Kyrie down for the season, even though there was some possibility that he might come back sometime like deep in the playoffs. But it was a long shot because of how long the injury was going to keep him out and how long rehab was going to be. So Kyrie was out. Boston was kind of treading waters. They were playing up and down the rest of the way. But then in the playoffs, the Boston Celtics, they beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 7 games. The Celtics came off a 55-win season. At the time that Kyrie got injured, they were, I believe 42 and 15 or 43 and 14, somewhere around there. But they were playing like about just, I think, a game above 500 basketball at the time. But yeah, so they were just up and down. But yeah, they beat the Bucks in 7 games. Then in the next round, people who had picked the Philadelphia 76ers because of that 16-game win streak, the media was overrating them. I'm talking about the talent and how they were going to do, and that they were going to make it possibly to the NBA Finals because of the fact that the Cavs would have had a bad matchup against Embiid, because of the fact that the Cavs are not good against skilled centers, and that Embiid is going to feast in the post, and that Embiid has impeccable footwork. And how are they going to contain Simmons from going to the basket, because the Cleveland defense just has issues guarding penetrators, and the fact that they never knew where the ball was swinging. Anytime like guys would just drive to the rim, drive and kick, their defenses a lot of times were in no man's land. But that starts with their leader. And once again, I'm not going to mention his name. But anywho, so they go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and people have picked the Cavs to win. But then the Boston Celtics, they get off to a 2-0 start, and they dominate the Cavs at home. And it had people thinking differently, that, hey, maybe the Boston Celtics might win, and they might beat them. But that wasn't the case. The NBA wasn't going to allow it to happen. They wanted it to make it go 7 games, to make it seem like, again, if LeBron went through this crazy difficult road to the NBA title. Yeah, he had 7. It's crazy that the funny thing is that the Cavs are honestly the best team in the Eastern Conference. It's just, again, they just put in that little mirror to try to fool you. A lot of some of the teams got better, but they were not going to be Cleveland. It just wasn't going to happen. Like I said, that whole roster makeup, which I will talk about in another video in the future, as to why LeBron, it was quote unquote so tough, like in that 2018 playoffs. But so they go to 7 games without Kyrie. And the notion was going to be that, maybe the Celtics are better off without him since they went so far. And I'm going to say this: if Boston did have Kyrie, the Cavaliers are going to lose in 5 games. And like I said, this is one of the reasons why LeBron went to the West. Like, I don't care what anybody says. the last thing that LeBron wanted to do was to face an ex-teammate and end up losing to them, because it's already bad enough that LeBron has had a lot of shortcomings in the NBA Finals with losing 6 of his 9 finals, but losing to Kyrie would have not sit well with him. Trust me, he probably would have cracked, as he mentioned when he at the start of the season with the Lakers, had he lost to Kyrie, and Kyrie would have been loving it. So now this season, Gordon Hayward comes back from his dislocated ankle. It's taken him some time to get better and try to get adjusted to get his legs back. Same thing with Kyrie coming off an injury. So the biggest question that I have for this Boston Celtics team, and remember at the same time, this was showing the emergence of Tatum, Rozier, and Jaylen Brown. The Celtics they have great depth. They have guys who can start on other teams. They have guys who can play 2 to 3 positions in terms of defensively and offensively, depending on what kind of lineups you want to play with Boston. But this was one of my issues that I was talking about with Boston. Do they have the potential to be a finals opponent? Absolutely. And people keep saying, sometimes, when you have a lot of depth, it's a good problem. But it depends on the personalities you have on the team that what you want to say, is it a good problem or could it be a bad problem? And one of the things we talk about, in order to become a great team, you have to have chemistry. Now, bringing in Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward back on the team is like acquiring 2 free agents. Like, you just got 2 free agents again. And now you have to implement them back and incorporate them into the team system, into the concept, in terms of like, you're trying to figure out what kind of team you're going to be. Like, what is going to be your identity? And with Boston, they're a defensive first team. Now, when you look at their offense, they struggle a lot because their offense, a lot of times, first of all, they're a half-court team. And a lot of times their offense tends to, at times, 1, get stagnant, and 2, run into the 24 shot clock. And then and then also the ball can get kind of stagnant, and then they're forced into isolation situations sometimes with Kyrie, or a shot has to be forced up. And sometimes the ball doesn't move, and then the men on the court, like, they don't move. So I feel like that their offense on the half court is lacking a lot of flow. So that's kind of been the issues this year, where they were better defensively last year. This year they are struggling defensively. They have not been playing well. And one of the things that I said entering this season was going to be the egos and the personalities of the team. Now, if you remember Terry Rozier, he played very well. He played well to the point that he's thinking about being a starter on another team and making money, contract. So you have that. Then you have Jason Tatum having a great playoffs, in particular against Boston, looking like a superstar player. But here's my thing with Jason Tatum. I feel like Jason Tatum, he has a high ceiling and he has a lot of potential and he could be a great player. But I think he got too much hype. And if you look at this season, he's kind of come down to earth in terms of his second season. And he's just he has the talent to be great. But I just don't think it's going to happen on this Celtic team. And it kind of like when Kyrie came back, once Kyrie is getting his legs under him, it's like he has to kind of remind Tatum that he's the alpha on the team. When you have too many voices, it becomes really difficult to listen to one another. That's where communication becomes a problem. And then it's like one voice feels like they have to be heard over the others. And so that's what's happening right now. Marcus Morris had an issue just last game with Jaylen Brown in terms of getting back on defense and being helped when one of the players on the other team scored. I forgot against what team it was. And then just this last game against the Magic, the Celtics had a double-digit lead, which has been another problem for the Celtics. They've been blowing double-digit leads. And on the last play, Gordon Hayward was doing the inbounds, and Kyrie, and the play, I believe, the design play was for Horford to set a back screen and then give the dribble handoff to Kyrie so that Kyrie can pretty much go one-on-one, I guess. Because Kyrie has many moves he can go to. So see, Kyrie's not one-dimensional. He can do many things. But what happened is that the back screen, I believe, was set, and then the ball ends up in, I forgot whose hands again. I don't remember who. But they ended up taking it was a bad shot. Well, it depends on how you look at it, bad shot or good shot. But then they ended up shooting the ball. So Kyrie was not happy with Gordon Hayward after the game, and he was letting him know basically about how he wasn't happy in terms of why he should have gotten the ball. And so Gordon Hayward went in the post game and was basically saying, it's a play that we've run many times, like we've done it in practice and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, Gordon Hayward, like the best player on the team is Kyrie Irving. He should have the ball in his hands. Unless if Kyrie's not available and he's not an option right now, you have to give it to somebody else, obviously. But Kyrie was open, and so Gordon Hayward didn't give him the ball. I didn't understand that. And then Kyrie went into the media and he said that the players need to start putting more focus and emphasis instead of trying to coast. And he said that these young guys, I don't feel like that they're showing that they're going to be ready for like a postseason run and make it to the NBA Finals, because they said if you think that this is bad right now, like wait till the NBA Finals happens. Like what is if we possibly might not even make it? I don't think we're ready for a finals run. And so Kyrie's looking at it from the standpoint that he thinks these guys are lacking passion out there. And not playing with grit. And Marcus Smart, excuse me, said this earlier in the season that he feels like the Celtics, they don't have that hunger and they don't have that passion. They made teams fear them when they were playing very stout defensively. They have a very stingy defense when they're playing together and playing with focus and mindset. But they have not shown that this year. And like Kyrie said, and to a certain degree, I agree with him, they've been very lackadaisical. But and Brad Stevens has had an issue with minutes, dealing with these personalities, guys getting on each other. These kind of things happen in the regular season. I mean, you're trying to get yourself together. It's an 82 game season. It's a long season. It's a grind. But the key thing is you want to play well going down into the playoffs. My problem with the Celtics is that they're going to have to improve things on the offensive end. Guys are going to have to check their egos if they really want to play together as a team and win, and understand what roles are being defined. Like, what is their role on the team? And it's like everybody is trying to be either they think that they're a superstar player or they're a starter. It's this and other. Because like I said, their bench have players that can start on other teams. That's how deep they are. Will I say that they're star or superstar? You could kind of question that. Because they've been very inconsistent. That's the problem. They haven't shown consistency. But I think that the Celtics also, to me, they lack an inside presence. They lack rebounding. They need somebody that can score in the paint easy, and I think that's going to take the pressure off of them. Because what happens is that when you don't have an inside presence, I mean, they're going to say, well, look at the Golden State Warriors. The difference with the Golden State Warriors is that they can shoot consistently. There's going to be game, and the thing is they move the ball with their offense, and they also run. So that's the difference. They're not strictly half court. They've learned to play in the half court, but they love to run. They love to push the tempo. The Celtics, they're one of the bottom tier teams in terms of pace of play. And I feel like the Celtics need to jumpstart their offense and try to be a little more. They need to run a little bit more to get their offense like a little bit started. And that way they can start figuring out like what kind of lineups they can play in terms of kind of jumpstart their offense. But they're still trying to figure out what kind of team they are. But one thing that they have to get better at is they have to get better defensively. Because remember, at the end of the day, defense wins championships. So if you're not putting the effort on defense, I can't consider you a championship team. Now, I've seen teams get like hot at the right time and they're playing better defensively like down the stretch. Because the key thing is you want to be playing basketball, your very best basketball down the stretch going into the playoffs. That's the key. That's just major key. But so that's my take on Boston. I feel like, once again, they have issues, but like I said, they have time. It's always about those things about the All-Star break, man, where they could just get kind of a recharge in the second half. But what they need to do is they need to focus on finishing this first half strong. And they need to come together as a team. They need to check their personalities and their egos and worry about playing together. Because if they're more worried about the individual rather than the team, as good as the Celtics can be, they're not going to make it that far. Because remember, people would pick the Celtics to kind of override the East and be over the favorites. And I said one of the issues that they were going to have, again, is the egos and incorporating Hayward and Kyrie back into things. So they're still trying to figure things out. But right now, the Raptors have better chemistry because all they did was just added one player, and he's changed their whole dynamic in Kawhi Leonard. The Bucks have improved this year, and Giannis is playing like an MVP. You got Philly, who's going to be right in the mix, and then they have Jimmy Butler. And then you have the Indiana Pacers, who have quietly had a very good season. So Boston needs to be careful because they're not just gonna run away with the Eastern Conference. Like I said, I still feel like they're the best team because they've made it that far. The Raptors, to me, they may be better, but they have to prove it in the postseason, and Kawhi's got to prove it. So he still has something to prove. Kyrie's got to prove that he's healthy and that he can lead this team. Because if he doesn't, what's going to happen is the narrative is going to be, number one, the Celtics are better without you, and number two, you need LeBron to help you win. When we all know one player doesn't do it alone. But anyway, this is your boy Lewis, checking in once again with another video. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned because I will be coming with another video pretty soon. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Probably might be tonight, probably might be tomorrow, but just make sure that you guys stay tuned for that. Once again, this is Lewis checking in, man. I appreciate, love you guys. Thanks for time for taking the videos. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section after what I just said, and what do you think is the issue with Boston and how they could actually turn it around in the second half of the season. This is Lewis once again checking out. Peace and love, y'all. Peace.